Welcome back to Area DMG. I'm your host, Hope Wesley, the Mile High Mouth, and for today's episode of Suki Nihon, we are looking at episode 16, of Season 3 of Steven Universe, Greg the Babysitter. In this particular episode, Steve wants to know how his dad ended up owning the car wash, right? I think he owns the car wash. I'm pretty sure he owns the car wash. Yeah. Anyways, so he gets Greg to tell him a little bit in song, and Greg does just that. And it's pretty nice to see a song like that as we get a little flashback episode to Greg and Rose before Steven. This takes place about 3 to several months past the episode where they met, where Rose and Greg met. Vidalia's had her baby, so we have a baby sour cream, and essentially Greg's become friends with all these people around Beach City, and just kind of hangs out with Vidalia because they both have a connection because of Marty. So, anyways, Vidalia is working. Greg, not so much. He's kind of a little bit like, I'm broke all the time. I should probably... They live in a weird little world in Steven Universe. They live in a world where, essentially, I think at one point, Rebecca Sugar said that World War II didn't happen in this world, and there's a bunch of other things that didn't happen. And also there's like a giant hole where Russia used to be, or should be. In fact, that's where the kindergarten technically is. The kindergarten is technically in parts of Europe. The map's completely different and messed up in that. Anyways, we're at a part here where I guess you have a United States of America, essentially, where the economy didn't collapse before World War II, and then after World War II, or all these things. So he pretty much... it's actually really easy for him to find a job in this episode, which is what he does after at the end of it. But let's get to the content of it, the journey toward this. You see, Greg is babysitting sour cream. And there's a little bit of a conversation between Greg and Rose, where Rose talks about how whenever a gem is born, they're fully formed, and they already know everything they need to know to do what they're supposed to do, which is a very utilitarian concept. Essentially, the gems are socialist, or to that matter, like everything for a society or for a greater good. I mean, I know people like to look at socialism as everyone may get certain types of things like free lodging or the sustenance to sustain them, but you also don't have free employment, which means that you don't get to do what you want to do. The state, or the gem overlords, or the diamonds at the gem homeworld or whatnot, they choose, before you're even hatched, essentially, or pop out of the ground, what it is that you have to do, what your purpose is. For example, rubies are your foot soldiers, sapphires are they're the ones who they're tacticians. Peridots are technicians. Let's see, amethysts are warriors. Pearls are maids and such. Diamonds are born to rule. And we're not sure what Rose Quartz is technically supposed to be doing, but we know what she decided. We'll probably find out a little bit more about that later on. But yet, she says something kind of interesting, that the reason she admires humans is that they're born small, but they have the ability to grow, to change, to evolve. And she kind of, she's envious of that. Envious of the ability to grow and mature. To grow up. Because gems are locked in that. That's why they're probably not the best role models, because essentially they're locked to a purpose. But after she decides that, after she tells him about that, Greg's like, oh, I should write a song about that. So he goes off to get his guitar. And then he comes back and Rose and Baby Sour Cream are missing. So he follows them all over the place and finds them in Funland, where Baby Sour Cream has climbed up onto a Ferris wheel. And Rose was just, oh, that's what he wanted to do, so I just watched him. Which isn't really what you're supposed to do. The whole point of babysitting and the point of being a parent or a responsible adult is to take care of those that are less fortunate than you, or they're younger and such, because you're supposed to help them and keep them safe until they're able to do it themselves. Anyways, Greg climbs up the thing and he rescues Sour Cream. Then he can't get down, and Rose tries to help him out with this and breaks the Ferris wheel, and then eventually has to save him. And then when she saves him, he realizes that, you know what? Just like a baby, he's been kind of acting that way, and he needs to go out and figure out his own thing, since he's been in Beach City, kind of homeless, and drifting around for the last from what I can gather, about 12 months. Because like the little thing, like he mentions that it's been about 3 months, so Sour Cream's about 3 months old. Considering that being around 3 months old and being able to like climb or so, that's a little bit. That's we're going into Sunny Bottle Air territory there. That's yeah. He'll just use his sharp teeth and climb up. Anyways, he decides that, well, it's time for him to go ahead and try something. So he's walking along. He notices that the car wash in Beach City has a help wanted sign. He goes over to it, removes that sign, and that's how he started working at the car wash. About 15 years later or so, he's still working at that car wash, but now he owns it. Which is technically, unless that's something you want to be doing, that's what you'd call in a job market stagnation. That's actually not a real good sign of growth. But it works out for the story, because it allows him to be there and have some type of income for Steve, even though they don't have to worry about that anymore because of the whole lottery winning thing, which I feel was just kind of thrown in there so they didn't have to worry about having to deal with essentially the fact that Greg Universe is running a car wash next to a beach, and gets like maybe 1 or 2 customers a day, if that. Essentially, they would have been out of money completely, and him winning the lottery is essentially their way of injecting a little bit of extra stuff into there. Give him a little. It's kind of a sitcom-y move, I guess. Oh, one thing I thought was pretty funny is when he's over at Vidalia's house eating like the cereal and stuff before he agrees to babysit Sour Cream. He's watching a preview for an upcoming show called Little Butler, which I thought was pretty amusing. And when he's on the roller coaster, they couldn't resist, could they? It's starting to move, and Rose is like trying to figure this out, and he's all like, "Rose, get me off this crazy thing!" And I'm like, you really couldn't refuse to do the Jetsons reference, huh? But they did, and it's okay. I wonder how many people watched that and just thought it was a funny line when it's actually just a reference to the Jetsons. And I was just like, that's great. I like this episode though. You get a little bit more into Rose's mind and her opinions on Earth, and you get a little bit more backstory for Greg. You get to see a little baby Sour Cream, which is kind of funny. And Vidalia again, a younger Vidalia. And you got to see more of just that. Which I rather like those little flashback episodes. Those are pretty great. And I like this episode. What do you think of this episode? Let me know in the comments below. Hit that thumbs up. Go ahead and like us if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And until the next video comes out, you are now caught up.